Hi everyone, Mr. Kranz here, and this is the Unit 1 Test Study Guide. What we're going to do a little differently now is I'm not going to give you every single answer. What I'm going to do is all the odd ones, and you can work on the even ones. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to do the odd ones. So when we look at this diagram, number 1 says name 2 points that are collinear to point K. So if you look at K, notice that it's on this line here, and it's also on this line. So we can say that H is collinear to K, and J is technically collinear to K, but on a different line. So to be safe, I'd probably choose 2 points that are on the same line. Also, if you notice that M and N are also collinear to K, so you have lots of options. So I'm just going to go with J and L because they're on the same line and they're on top of the plane. So J and L. Number 3, name the intersection of line C and plane R. So if we identify line C, that's the one that goes through the plane right here. Okay, and this whole thing is plane R, so you see it intersects right here. And when we look, that is point K. So the answer would be K. Number 5, how many planes are shown on this figure? Well, if you look at it, you have this plane that is the floor of the pyramid that kind of extends out. And then the pyramid has 4 sides, giving it 5 sides total. So there are 5 different planes. Name the intersection of plane ADE. So ADE is this side of the triangle right here. And plane W. So plane W is this whole floor. And if you notice that it intersects right here. So that would be segment AD. So segment AD is your answer. Number 9, if DF is 42, find DE. Well, when we look at this, DF is 42. That's this whole line is 42. So that means this portion and this portion together have to equal 42. So that means 7x plus 1 plus 4x minus 3 equals 42. This is your addition postulate, segment addition postulate. So when I combine my like terms, I get 11x minus 2 equals 42. When I add 2, we get 11x equals 44. When we divide by 11, we see that x is 4. When we go ahead and we plug that in, 7 times 4 is 28, plus 1 is 29. 4 times 4 is 16, so 29 and 16 is 45 minus 3 is 42. So it does check out when you go and plug that in. Number 11, S is the midpoint of segment RT. So if I look at this, I don't have a drawing, but I can draw a segment R, T, and it says that S is the midpoint, meaning that this and this are the same. It says RS is 5x plus 17, and it says that ST is 8x minus 31. So we need to find RS. Well, if S is the midpoint, that means that this left side is equal to the right side. So we can go ahead and set them equal to each other and solve. So 5x plus 17 equals 8x minus 31. When I subtract 5x, we get 3x. When I add 31, I get 48. When I divide by 3, I'm going to get 16. So x equals 16. If I want to check it out, 5 times 16 is 80. 80 plus 17 is 97. 8 times 16, that is 128. And 128 minus 31, 97. So that checks out. Number 13, if B is the midpoint of segment AC, so that means that B cuts AC in half. AC is equal to CD, so that this whole line here is equal to this whole segment here. If AB is 3x plus 4, so that means this is 3x plus 4. And AC is 11x minus 17, so from here to here is 11x minus 17. and CE is 49. So this entire line from here to here is 49. We need to find DE, so we're missing this. So the key is we need to find CD. Now if we find CD, we can subtract it from 49. Well, we know that AB and BC are the same, or they're congruent, right? So if AB is 3x plus 4, then BC is 3x plus 4. And together, two 3x plus 4s has to equal 11x minus 17. So 3x plus 4 plus 3x plus 4 is the same as taking 3x plus 4, multiplying it by 2, and saying it equals 11x minus 17. So we can go ahead and distribute this, making the 6x plus 8 equals 11x minus 17. When I minus 6x from both sides, and I add 17, that gives me 25 equals 5x, so we can see that x is 5. Well, if x is 5, that means that 11 times 5, which is 55, minus 17 equals 38. So if AC is 38, that means that CD is 38, because it says up there that AC equals CD. And now to find DE, so DE just equals 49 minus 38, which is 11. Number 15. Well, first of all, I want to go over writing the distance and the midpoint formula. So your distance formula, which is D equals the square root of x2 minus x1 squared, y2 minus y1 squared. Now, it doesn't take a mathematical genius to just memorize something, and that's what you're going to need to do. The midpoint equals x1 plus x2 divided by 2, comma, y1 plus y2 divided by 2. All right, so let's go to 15. If BC is, find BC if B is 8, comma, negative 7, and C is negative 4, negative 2. So what we have to do is use the distance formula. So let's call this x1, y1, x2, y2, and we can go ahead and do the formal formula. D equals, right, where D is actually BC. So technically, right, BC equals x2, which is negative 4 minus 8 all squared, plus negative 2 minus a negative 7 all squared, equals the square root. Well, negative 4 minus 8 would be negative 12 squared, plus, well, negative 2 plus 7 is 5. So that is now the square root of 144 plus 25. So the square root of 169. And the answer to that is 13. So BC equals 13. The way I like to do it, I take my 2 points. I like to just write them right on top of each other. Then I subtract 8 minus negative 4 is 12. Negative 7 plus 2 is negative 5. Then I square both of them, giving me 144. Plus 25 is 169. And then I put a square root over it, which equals 13. On 17, the only thing is that it still wants the length of PQ, but it's not giving it a point, so you just have to look at the graph and determine what the point is. If I go 1, 2 over, that's 2, and 1, 2, 3, 4 down, right? So that makes Q 2, negative 4, and P, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the left, and 1 down, is negative 5, 1. Well, if I go with my method, 2 minus negative 5 is really 2 plus 5, which is 7. Negative 4 minus 1 is a negative 5. When I square both of these, I get 35 plus 25. That equals 60. So your answer is the square root of 60. So PQ is the square root of 60. You would get it even if you did Pythagorean theorem. If you did Pythagorean theorem, you'd have 3 here, 7 there. All right, number 17. It's exactly the same as 15, except we just aren't given coordinates. So we have to write our own coordinates in. So we see that P is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to the left and 1 down. So P would be negative 5, negative 1. Q, which is 1, 2 to the right and 1, 2, 3, 4 down, that would be 2, negative 4. Now using that last method that I just did, 5 minus a negative 2 would be negative 7, and negative 1 plus 4 would be 3. When we square those, you get 49 plus 9, which is 58. So the answer is square root of 58. So PQ equals the square root of 58. Even if we were to try this by just doing Pythagorean theorem, where this is 3 and this is 7, then we get your 7 squared plus 3 squared, which is right where we were. So just another method of doing it. Number 19, find the coordinates of z if y is the midpoint of xz. So it gives us x and it gives us y. So we have a segment which is x and z, and we have a midpoint. So we don't know what x is, but we know the midpoint. We don't know what, This is y. Y is the midpoint. So we know that y is negative 4, 8. And we know that x is negative 10, 9. So we're missing this one. And if you remember the formula, it said that the midpoint is x1 plus x2 divided by 2 for the x coordinate, and y1 plus y2 divided by 2 for the y coordinate. Now, the midpoint, technically, well, that's y. So if we fill in our information, what we have here is that we have negative 4, 8 is going to equal our x1, which is negative 10, plus our x2, which we don't know, divided by 2, comma, 9 plus y2 divided by 2. And if we break this up, this is the x coordinate, right, for the midpoint. So technically, negative 4 equals negative 10 plus x2 divided by 2. Then we have a comma. The y coordinate, which is 8, equals 9 plus y2 divided by 2. To clear our 2 in the denominator, we multiply both sides by 2. That means negative 8 equals negative 10 plus x2. And when we subtract 10, we find out that x2 equals negative 18. So that's going to give us a negative 18 right there. Over here, same thing, multiply by 2, multiply by 2. That clears your denominator. So 16 equals 9 plus y2. Oops. Then when we subtract 9, we get 7. So 7 equals y2. So the answer would be negative 18, 7. Now you think about it. Oh, I just made a mistake. That's a plus. So that would just be 2. Looks like it didn't look right. So that'd be 2, 7. Now it makes sense. So when you think about it, the distance between negative 10 and 2 is 12. So the middle of that would be 6 away. So you see that's 6 away, negative 4, and 9 and 7. Well, what's in the middle of 9 and 7? That's 8. So that makes sense. So Z is going to be located at -2, 7. Be careful. These are the mistakes that we're going to make. We make simple mistakes. We understand what's going on and we start rushing. All right, if the measure of PQS is 16 degrees and SQR is 9x plus 17 degrees, and PQR, which is the whole angle, is 12x minus 6 degrees, well, we know that these two angles here, PQS and SQR together, have to equal this total angle of 12x plus 6. So that gets us 16 plus 9x plus 17 is going to equal 12x minus 6. Combine some like terms, we get 9x plus 33 equals 12x minus 6. We can subtract our 9x, giving us 3x. We can add 6 to both sides, giving us 39. And that makes x equal to 13. Now, it's not asking for x, it's asking for PQR. So PQR is this one right here. So 12 times 13 minus 6. Well, 12 times 13 is 156, and 156 minus 6 is 150. If we plugged it in, we can check it out. 9 times 13, 9 times 10 is 90, and 9 times 3 is 27, so that's 117. And 117 and 17 is 134. And when you add 16 and 134, you get that 150. So the measure of angle PQR equals 150 degrees. And that's your final answer. It's the way it should look. Degrees, notation, full credit. 23. If KM bisects angle JKL, the measurement of angle JKL is 92. So this whole angle is 92 degrees. And the measurement of MKL is 5x plus 1 degrees. Find the value of x. Well, if KM bisects JKL, that means it cuts it in half. So that would mean that each part technically would be 46 degrees, because that's what half of 92 is. So that means that 5x plus 1 equals 46. We subtract 1, 5x equals 45, making x equal to 9. If we check it out, 5 times 9 is 45. 45 plus 1 is 46 degrees. So that works. So your answer is x equals 9. We're going to use these diagrams to answer 25 to 29. Which diagram shows adjacent angles? So adjacent angles are angles that are next to each other, which is clearly C. Which diagram shows complementary angles? Complementary is 90 degrees. Supplementary is 180. So complementary angles would be two angles that equal 90 degrees. And you can see right here that since this is 90 degrees over here, this is 90 degrees. So that would be F. Which diagram shows a linear pair? Linear pair are two angles that equal 180 on a straight line. And we could see that evidenced right here between 1 and 2. Here's your straight line. Okay, 31. So 31 we need to solve for x. So we look at these two angles. These are a linear pair. And linear pair equal 180. So we just set them, we set the sum of them equal to 180. Right, so 4x plus 7 plus 2x plus 5 equal 180. We can combine our like terms. When we subtract 12, we get 6x equals 168. And we divide by 6. X is going to equal 28. To check this out, 4 times 28 is 112, and 112 plus 7 gives us 119 degrees. 2 times 28 is 56, plus 5 is 61, and you see together they equal 180. So our answer is 28. X equals 28. All right, so if you have any questions, you guys should be working on those even ones. Let me know, and we can go over them. All right, have a good day.